Welcome to the Global Warwatch Network. Before we get started, if you find this analysis valuable, please make sure to subscribe to the channel for more updates like this one. All right, let's get right to it. Today's big story is a game changer. Russia and Belarus are officially teaming up to build the Su-75 Checkmate. And get this, the stealth fighter's first flight is now officially on the books for 2026. Now this news, which dropped at the recent Dubai Air Show, is a huge deal, especially after years of, well, a lot of uncertainty. So what does this new partnership really mean for the future of combat aviation?
So this new timeline, it's a massive push forward for the whole program. We're hearing that the first prototype is already in the final stages of assembly and is going through bench testing. Those are the last absolutely critical steps before this thing actually takes to the sky. So you've got to ask, what's behind this sudden burst of energy? Well, at its very core, it's all about the deepening defense ties between Russia and Belarus. And listen, this isn't just some simple collaboration. It's a complete rethink of how this aircraft is being developed.
By calling the Su-75 a flagship project of their Union State, which is their close political and economic alliance, Moscow is basically weaving Belarus directly into its military-industrial fabric. This is a really strategic move, because Belarus is now on the hook for building some incredibly important high-value parts for this fighter.
And we're not talking about nuts and bolts here. As you can see, Belarus is handling some really sophisticated stuff. Avionics, electronic warfare systems, the brains of the operation. By bringing Minsk into the supply chain for these high-tech components, Moscow is playing a very smart game. They're building in resilience against Western sanctions that might try to target specific Russian factories.
This analogy really hits the nail on the head. Think about it that way. It's all about spreading out the risk. By having the industrial base in two different countries, they're trying to create a fighter program that's essentially sanction-proof, one that can keep going even when the pressure is on.
Okay, so that's the strategy. But what kind of plane are they actually building here? Let's take a look at the official specs and see how this jet stacks up, at least on paper.
Now, these specs might just look like a bunch of numbers, but they tell a really important story about what the Checkmate is all about. Because it's a single-engine fighter, its running costs are designed to be way lower than the big, heavy twin-engine jets like Russia's own Su-57, and that gives it a very specific sweet spot in the global market.
And this makes one thing crystal clear. Russia is not trying to build a direct competitor to the F-35, not at all. Instead, the Checkmate is meant to be a more affordable, more accessible entry point into fifth-generation tech. It's designed to live in that gap right between the super expensive Western stealth fighters and the very capable, but not so stealthy 4.5 Gen jets.
And that idea, that focus on accessibility, that's the heart of Russia's entire export strategy for the Checkmate. It is a huge, calculated bet designed to attract a whole new group of international buyers.
The sales pitch is pretty straightforward. First, it's designed to be affordable, giving you stealth without the massive price tag. Second, it's simpler to maintain, which is a huge plus for air forces that don't want the headache of complex twin-engine jets. And third, and this is the real kicker, they're promising deep technology transfer. They're selling a partnership, not just a plane.
These are the parts of the world where Moscow thinks it has a real shot. And to get its foot in the door, Russia is making an incredibly aggressive pitch to one of its key historical partners, putting an offer on the table that is almost unheard of.
Yeah, you heard that right. This isn't just, here's your plane, have a nice day. The offer to India is reported to include a hand in the design, licensed production on Indian soil, and even the freedom to plug in their own Indian-made systems and weapons. It's an offer of a true, genuine partnership.
Okay, so the strategy seems solid. The partnerships are forming, but hold on. Despite all this progress, the Checkmate program is flying straight into some very serious headwinds. The ambition is definitely there, but the reality on the ground is tough.
And here it is. This is the elephant in the room. For all the talk, for all the marketing, for all the handshake deals, the number of firm, signed on the dotted line orders for the Su-75 is a big, fat zero. And without actual buyers, you have to wonder about the funding for mass production and whether the whole program is even viable. At the end of the day, a cool design on a computer screen is one thing, but the program still has to prove its tech actually works as advertised. It's got to get around sanctions on critical electronics, show it can actually build these things at scale, and do it all while Russia's entire aerospace sector is feeling a serious financial squeeze. So, yeah, everything is now riding on what happens next.
This single event, this first flight, could honestly make or break the entire Checkmate program. If it's successful, it could unlock international funding and a ton of confidence. But
Another delay or a failure, that could ground this project for good. Which, of course, brings us to the big final question.
Thank you for joining us at Global Warwatch Network. What do you think is next for the Checkmate? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more explainers just like this one. You can also join our community over on social media. All the links for that are right in the description.